Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Stefanie Drysdale's weekly cybersecurity recap number 42. It's Friday, October 23rd, 2020. Miss Stefanie, tell us what's happening in the cyber world.
So this week, Dark Reading shared the 7-step cybersecurity plan for healthcare organizations. I thought this was really a helpful compiled resource for healthcare in particular, just because of the unique type of data and information that they store and that they utilize. It definitely says to formalize some cybersecurity awareness training for your employees, as well as to create awareness training programs for patients, which I thought was a really great tip. Talked about for your patients to make sure that they're aware of updates that they need to do and how to safely have passwords and not reuse them, multi-factor authentication for the times they interact with your corporation or your organization, as well as Zoom privacy and other data protection methods. So really helpful for your patients to have that kind of awareness as well. They also talked about tabletop exercises for ransomware. Big topic lately. I know we've done a lot of conversations lately about how ransomware, they're the experts are advising people not necessarily to pay the ransomware, but there are some groups that are saying that they're going to release the information either way. This is actually a small percentage of the actual ransomware cases. A lot don't want to draw that kind of attention to themselves with the risk and the detection and being identified by law enforcement. So that is like a smaller risk, even though it still exists. Another tip that they offered was good backups. They want you to make sure that you have your information backed up. That will help a lot with business continuity and keeping things rolling, as we've seen with issues where hospitals and healthcare systems are down for days and days. So make sure you have good backups. Talk a lot about privileged access management. Make sure that if someone doesn't need access to some specific information, that they're not granted that. It's just one less point of entry. And then the last thing, and this has come up a lot with healthcare as well, is that they purchase IoT devices or Internet of Things devices that do have proven security attached to them, and make sure that the doctors and the IT department are working together with devices that don't have default passwords, that they have updatable software. Make sure that the communications are encrypted and that the data storage is safe. And there is a vulnerability disclosure mechanism with that IoT device provider. So all very good tips. Make sure to check that one out. So James W. shared the nextweb.com article on the influence, how you influence the recommendation algorithms as much as they influence you. I love this because I think there's so much finger pointing to social media companies about the kind of information that they take from us. And that is true. Understand their main goal of their platform is engagement, whereas the advertisers, their main goal is persuasion. It's a little bit different, but the algorithms really are picking up on a ton of information that we're actually giving them with our behavior in our own social networks. So be mindful that what you're interacting with is shaping what you're seeing, and then it does create a little bit of a bubble for yourself. So if you want to see different things, then obviously use an anonymous browser or some kind of non-traceable kind of browser, as well as look at both sides of things, and you'll get lots of different things in your feed. Gabriel Friedlander shared a really great, like 13-page, I think, tip guide for fake news. So the do's and don'ts of fake news, things like treat the internet like a used car salesman with an agenda. This is great because it really is, everybody's pushing something, right? Um, Look at snazzy headlines versus reading the entire article. Don't just take the title of the article at face value. Know your biases and exercise skepticism. We all have biases, and the sooner we're aware of those, the more we can kind of recognize that in ourselves and kind of be a little skeptical of things that are playing on those. Um, it's not all black and white. Look in the gray area for the truth of things. Don't just look for things that confirm what you already think or believe. Fact check before you share. Watch for anything that's going to trigger your emotions, fear, anger, things like that. Those are designed to manipulate you. So go keep an eye out for that. And then make sure that if there's something that is not on the up and up, like robocalls or spam or fake profiles that are interacting with you, make sure you report those either to the FTC or to the platforms themselves. Um, and then they offered some fact-checking articles and resources at the very end, which I thought was really, really helpful. So be sure you catch those. Gabriel also shared their upcoming webinar that's titled I Got Scammed. This is going to be advice for the before, the during, and the after in the event that this should happen to you or someone that you know. It's going to be on October 28th, so be sure to register for that. Bob Carver shared a Forbes article on why the Apple's iPhone 12 users will have a serious WhatsApp problem. Talks about switching out phones and how it'll give you the option to back up your data in iCloud, the media, the messages, and everything. Once they're backed up to iCloud, they are no longer part of WhatsApp's end-to-end encryption. That's really important to know because most people assume that if you're using an end-to-end encrypted messaging app, that you are protected. This actually takes it out of that loop, and in some cases has exposed security keys on the back end. So in addition to that, I just want you to know that the chat participants who the info is normally only accessible to them then becomes accessible to Apple and ultimately to law enforcement and subject to warrants or subpoenas in the event that that information should become necessary for law enforcement. So keep all of these things in mind when you are using these apps and thinking that they are secure, that they are never 100% secure. Security Info Watch, I shared a really, really helpful article, I thought, on who's in charge, your CSO or your CISO. I love this conversation over and over again. I hear it, and I think there are a lot of different great viewpoints on this one. This one really was incredibly thorough. I couldn't possibly go into all of it here, but it talked about how to identify who is going to be in charge of this, the guiding light principle should be the one in charge, should be whoever understands the business needs of the organization best, and that can deliver those needs in a very cost-effective and a tangible and measurable and sometimes even profitable manner. It should be the person setting the policies. It addresses the responsibility versus the authority, as well as placing priority on policymakers who can speak the languages of risk management, profit and loss, as well as business drivers, and not just the tech speak. Make sure you catch this article. Again, there were a lot of really relevant, helpful points in there that I couldn't list all here, but very, very helpful. And that's what I have for you all this week. I hope you're doing well and staying dry. We have a rainy, rainy week here in Chicago, but everybody's getting ready for next week, Halloween. Chuck, are you going to dress up for Halloween?
Yes, I'm going to go as a radio show host, and nobody will recognize me.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to dress up with you, Chuck.
That'll be a very interesting Halloween.
Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will look forward to speaking to you all next Friday.